I've taken a log, in this case some red maple, and I've cut the log in half, and now I'm ready to get it set up so it can go on the lathe. But in order to do that, I have to take the corners off of this so it's closer to being round rather than having these points that I'm going to have to take off while it's at the lathe. So I'm just going to take a minute to set this up, cut it with the bandsaw, and get it more into a round shape. I can do that by taking a circular disc and attaching it to my half log, and once it's attached to the half log, I can use that as a guide to cut the corners off, but I have to start with one that's the proper size. So here we have a big log. I'm going to put these two lower ones down. Now we've got a big log here, and the bigger log is just the right size for this disc that I've got. So I'm going to fasten this with just hold it in place with a screw. And now I'm going to take it to the bandsaw, and I'm going to trim these corners off. So we've now got this into an approximately round shape, ready for the lathe. That prevents having to knock these big corners off as we're rounding it on the lathe. So I'm going to take off our guide, and in order to hook this thing up to the lathe, we're going to put a faceplate on. This is a threaded piece that's going to thread onto the chuck that's on the lathe, and it's going to go right here. I'm going to find the center of this piece, and I'm going to attach the faceplate with some screws so it's nice and solid, and then I'll be ready to take it over to the lathe and begin the turning process. Now, because this is a green piece, I'm going to rough turn it into the general shape of a bowl and then put it aside to dry. For right now, I'm not ready to put this on the lathe. I'm not going to attach the faceplate, but in order to prevent it from drying too rapidly and cracking, which is what happened with this bowl, I didn't get this onto the lathe and finish the turning fast enough, and it started cracking like crazy. So to prevent that from happening here, I'm going to put this in a plastic bag, and I'm going to let it dry much more slowly that way. That way, when I'm ready, I can take it out, attach the faceplate to it, and be ready to go.